morning, evening, afternoon, friends and family, loved ones. This is your friend Kelly, and I'm going to try showing you how I do a monkey's fist. I'm going to do it on this mini ones to begin with. I don't think it'll turn out well because this is my 1-inch ball, and that's what they consider a 1/2-inch ball. And as you can see, it's quite small. These are the little key rings that I use with the little ones. And comparing, once they're wrapped, the different sizes, you can see there's quite a bit of different size. But with the little mini ball, I try to get it there. I basically have 6 feet roughly. It's usually just a little bit under that, but right at 6 feet of either 425 or 325 paracord. I've got black, and you want to make 4 full turns. So 1, 2, 3, well, 4 technically on this one. This one doesn't really count because that's 4 on here, but 4 down here. And these are a pain to make. I'm just giving you a heads up right now. And you want to make sure that they line up and don't overlap, and do 4 wraps around this way. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, this is the 4th, going around, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is where it becomes more of a pain, because you got to kind of be able to put the cord wrapped around this way and pull it through, and make sure that it doesn't get wanky, twisted, or whatever. That's why I always sit there and say, make sure you buy good made paracord when you do this. And then it comes down and around and feeds through, and make sure you get, like I said, this is a pain to try and show you and do at the same time, and come through. And you're going to want to do 4 wraps on this again without losing the ball and having it fall out on you. And like I said, make sure that you don't overlap the cords or get them twisted or whatever over each other. And let's see here, am I going to have to pull my finger out, or can I? Sometimes I can work it through. Other times I have to pull my fingers out and be very careful so I don't drop the ball. And you can do this with the big ball too if you can hold it. And I think I should be able to, come on, without having my finger in there. I'll just use my finger to more or less hold it. And this is why it's a kind of a pain to do these, and why a lot of people will charge a lot more. Yes, I'm trying to hold all the cords together in order so that way they don't get out of whack. And let's see here, one more on this side. Let me check. Of course, it falls out on me. And there, that is, you should have 4 all the way around. Now, when I'm first doing this, the ones that I have, I kind of try to still hold it sandwiched together to try to keep them aligned properly. Like I said, this is going to be kind of a pain to show, and it probably won't show real well. And I will eventually get around to doing one of the bigger ones. But what I do is I pull up the cord snug, not tight, You never want to do the first pass super tight. You want to be able to maneuver and tighten slowly the other portions down. And you can do it in multiple passes. It's something that takes time, takes experience. It's not something you're going to probably get right off the bat. It will take time to do it. And you figure just between the cost of the balls and the paracord of what you're doing, it really isn't worth doing unless you're just doing a couple for yourself and you're just buying them for yourself. But with the aggravation of doing it, you may just want to pay somebody to make them. I'm just kind of being honest here on that because they are a pain. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, usually what I do is I kind of check and see how they're doing, and more or less the cords being relatively the same length. They're not perfect. They don't really have to be, but as long as they're close, so that way you can do your thing. But what you need to do is go around and start tightening the cord. So this was what I started with, and this is where it comes around. You have to kind of watch. And whenever you're doing tightening the cord that wraps around and underneath, do not ever super tighten that to begin with, or actually at all, because when you do that, it'll crank down on the other cords and they won't lay right. So just always take your time. And like I said, a lot of times you'll have to go through multiple times around here. I mean, it was nothing for me to go do my tightening. See, I don't know how well this is. It's trying to go kind of run over each other there before you start tightening it down too much. Kind of make sure it's laying flat again. And let's see here now. And that's something you'll probably have to work at as you tighten them down. Make sure that they're all laying properly. And usually, especially with this smaller cord and the smaller ball, it's always more of a pain. But I wanted to use this to show you instead of having me do it on the bigger one that probably won't have any issues, or at least I normally don't. Every now and then I still have issues, but it's not a normal thing. And then that's the first pass. Now, you just kind of check it and make sure that nothing's really overlapped before you start tightening it down again. Like I said, it may be something that you do 2, 3, 4 passes on until you feel comfortable, but slowly making it, and looks like everything's pretty much lined up like it should be. And usually what I do, I like these bent needle nose pliers. These are a Work Pro, but to help tighten them down when I get, and that's why I usually like my nails. And my thumbnails literally just grown out to where it's normal again. I had an issue with a knife that the lock did not do what it was supposed to do, and it came down and sliced from here on this side of the nail all the way through and down through here, and it literally cut all the way through my nail. And it wasn't good. Let's put it this way. It hurt just a little bit, but it's finally my nails more or less grown out. It had been kind of creased. I think it's still creased, but it's gotten to that point now where it's grown out. But I glued it together and everything else. Normal stuff that most of us do that do things like that because we're idiots or have issues with a knife that shouldn't be having an issue. But just if you want to, see right now my cords are pretty much lined up, so it doesn't really matter. You can pick one side and just slowly, this is the cord going this way. I don't pull on this one because that'll just pull this cord through. So I start on the one beside it. And I'll do little, just make sure you kind of get under, because the 425 and the 325 both, which you can use either paracord for this, is 425 or 325 to make these, because they're the same thickness. But when you do that, do this, like I said, you don't want to crank this down, because if you crank this down when you're tightening it, that little loop around, it'll squeeze all these together and may get them offline. So you just want to do a light tug to where it's just snug, but not overly snug. There we go. And go and continue on. And this is slow and boring. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of this is. And that's why a lot of times I will be doing this while I'm watching YouTube, or actually more like listening to the YouTube stuff. So that's why a lot of times I may miss people saying hi to me. And I do. I seriously apologize. I try not to ignore anybody unless you've irritated me. But then again, if you've irritated me, you probably realize that you have and know better. But this is, but like I said, it's slow, it's tedious, and most times you're going to take more than 2 trips around like I'm doing, because you don't have the experience. Like I said, I've done probably, I would not put it past me to have done close to 1,000 monkey's fists. I mean, literally, just to give you an idea. And it's just one of those things. With time, you can do it. But if you're just wanting to have a few monkey's fists for yourself, don't give yourself the aggravation of making it. It is a pain. I can honestly tell you that. And if this doesn't convince you, go ahead and try making one. But don't spend the money unless you're wanting to. And there we go. And see, like I said, I do a little bit longer paracord for when I do that, because with these little ones, it's more of a pain. So I do better with the bigger ones, and that's part of it done. Now I do have a different video that shows you how to do the diamond knot. That I just have the ball on either side, the paracord there. I wrap it around to where it comes around and over, pinch it, and twist it. Don't forget to twist. Then you pull that up in between. That same cord you just pulled up in between goes under the other cord and through that loop. That's the first part. Then just kind of feed it through and semi-tighten it up. You don't want it real tight, but you want it basically in a figure 8 that has the center. Then you pull the cord back around, under the cord again. Pretty much all of them go under through. Make sure you're on the other side of this cord where it's between my fingers, and up through the middle. And see how it's gone under? There's that. Now this other cord, do the same thing. Go around like you're continuing counterclockwise, and do the same thing. Make sure you're under that cord and up through the middle, same middle place that the other one went through. And then, sorry, I had to move my fingers out of the way. Pull it up. Now when you do this, kind of slowly pull it up and kind of squeeze it together to try and keep the shape. Oops, gosh, that's going to be good, isn't it? Sorry, I meant to pull it off to the side. Just kind of pull it up and just squeeze it together to kind of keep the shape of the knot, basically. And then you need to feed the knot through and start tightening it up. And this also can take many turns around to get it tight. And it's I can't really explain how it feeds through, but over time you have to figure out how to follow where the cord leads to do this. And it's something you'll learn as you do. There's one. And now. And you need to kind of hold it as you're tightening it, because if not, it might work its way loose. But to help hold the knot shape. How about that? That's a good way to phrase it. You want to hold the knot as you're feeding and tightening it down. And see, it's almost there. So another. Circle around. And let's see here, and that should be this one. And that's why I like to try and keep at least a little bit of nails on my thumb and my first finger so I can grab. If not, these come in handy again. And that might be easier for me to grab that one. But you gotta be careful when you do these. I don't know how well this will show up, but these needle nose pliers don't have any teeth. They are smooth. It helps to keep from snagging and causing little goobers on your paracord. You can still do it, especially with this smaller paracord, because it seems like it's made of something different. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but it's not like a normal paracord. And there's that basically tightened down. Now the next thing is to put your ring over the paracord. And these, for the little minis, I do basically roughly 4 inches, give or take, which I usually measure from the tip of my finger to basically right here on the meat of my finger is what I basically do lengthwise, which altogether it should be close to 4 inches. But the one that's on top, the cord that's on top, always stays on top for the regular cobra knot. Now what I'll do is I will pull it tight to begin with, because as I'm doing the first tie around the key ring, it isn't always good and tight. Or as I'm tying the next knot, it will do. And I've done the bracelet. If you watch my bracelet video, same knot. One on front, goes across, under, and through, and pull it through, and tie it tight. And just keep doing it. See, same one, over. It's the same cord that goes over, and the same cord that goes under each time with these. And pull it tight. See? And just finish it out however long, however tight you want to get it to the base little knot, the diamond knot, which I usually like, especially on these minis, to have it pretty close. It's not always right up against it, but more often than not, I'll either do it to there or do like another knot on it to where, and see, and that's that. And I will really yank it down for the last one to make sure it's good. And I have my scissors, You want to trim it with not too much left over, but you need enough to be able to melt it. And I roll it to kind of melt it against the other cord. And yes, that's usually still a little bit warm. And sometimes I try to, I don't always do it, but I try to smooth it out to where there isn't any sharp edges. Like I said, sometimes I'm more successful than other times when I do that, but I do try. And there's a little bit more. And you gotta be careful with the flames. Don't use a 3 torch, or usually a double torch will singe all the paracord around it, because I accidentally did that once when I was making some stuff, and I didn't realize it until I had a handful of them, and I'm like, crap. And there's a mini monkey's fist, and this one's going to go to MoPatty. So that is that. And if you got any other questions, eventually I may show you doing a bigger one, but as you can see, there is a huge difference in the size of the balls. Itsy bitsy baby one to the 1-inch ball. Technically that's a 1/2 inch, and that's a 1 inch. And hopefully you guys found this entertaining, if nothing else, and hopefully my hand wasn't blocking everything I was doing and you were able to get an idea. Like I said, I will do it with the bigger one, but it'll go probably a lot smoother than doing the smaller ones will. They're a pain to make. I mean, I can honestly tell you that. And if it's something, unless you don't mind being aggravated, I'd say don't bother with it, because the payout's not worth it usually, unless you just want to make one for yourself to see how it is. But I guess that's that. And well, anyway, you guys, this has gone on long enough. This is the longest video I'm pretty sure that I've made. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. Much love, much hugs, many kisses, or many hugs, lots of kisses, whichever you want. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave me a comment about how much of an idiot I was, and I'll go from there. Have a great night. Bye-bye.